everyone. My name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hi, hello. Welcome to the first 4 months of 2026 haul. I have been on a book buying ban since last year, the end of last year, because I wanted to shrink my TBR, which had gotten to about 200 books, down to 150. I wanted to bring that number right down. So I was like, okay, I'm putting myself in a bunch of rules. I'm not allowed to bring in any books unless they are pre-orders that I have already made, or potentially an Aardvark book box book, because I love Aardvark. And I was like, okay, only if I really want one of these Aardvark book box books am I allowed to bring one into my house. And I have been on said book buying ban, and I have somehow brought in 6 books that were not part of that. So 6 books on top of the pre-orders. There's 5 pre-orders that I brought in so far this year, and then I believe 6 Aardvark books as well. So we're going to talk about everything that I brought into my beautiful place since the beginning of 2026 in the first 4 months of the year. Hello, my darling dearest. What do you want? She says, Mom, my cat. She moving the thing. You want to come join me? Come on, you're allowed. You're loud. No? Okay. She's sitting in her box behind the camera now, all nice and gentle and ready to witness you and me talk about the books that I've hauled so far this year. Anyways, so we're gonna go month by month, and we're gonna kind of see how many books. I have a number right here. It's 17 books acquired so far this year, and we are going to talk about them, which ones I have read, and how much I've spent, because I feel like that should be a good thing to add into my hauls. For context, I live in Canada, so books in Canada are generally very pricey expensive. Like if I'm getting a hardcover in Canada, it is $42 minimum at this point, which is honestly a crime. Shit hurts a little bit, but that's just for context, so you can kind of see how much someone who is trying to be more mindful about their spending is actually spending on books. Trying to be, but also who is a little mentally ill, needs a little bit of a serotonin kick every once in a while, and loves buying books so much. And I'm filming this a couple days before Indie Bookstore Day, and I'm trying to make myself go into Indie Bookstore Day with like reasonable parameters, because I'm still technically on this book buying ban. And I'm like, what if I just get books that I have already read, so I'm not adding to the TBR? That could be a potential parameter. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just lift the book buying ban for like a day and allow myself like 2 books max. I don't know. I gotta think about it a little bit. So in the next year, in the next third of the year, you'll probably see another haul from me. Also, because I am getting pretty close to that 150 mark on my physical TBR. We are down to 167, 166. I did just DNF a book the other day, so I feel like we're around the 167 number. So we're doing pretty good. And I'm so excited to get down to the 150 book mark so that I can go walk around a bookstore and pick up a book and just buy it because I can. The dream. Let's get into this. Let's talk about January. So January, I ended up bringing in 3 books, 2 of which were Aardvark book box books, and 1 of which was a pre-order. That pre-order is To Shape a Dragon's Breath's sequel to Ride a Rising Storm by Monoquill Black Goose. I am so excited about this. These paperbacks that are released by Del Rey are the most satisfying paperbacks to hold. I don't really love a shiny book, but I love the feel of these. They are like squishy, squidgy. They're just, they're so satisfying to hold. And I love reading a really floppy paperback that feels like this. These are so satisfying. And also these stories are just incredible. I absolutely loved To Shape a Dragon's Breath. It is a slower, dark academia type of institutionalized look at what colonialism is doing and has done to the indigenous peoples. And there's dragons. It's fascinating and incredible. The plan is to reread book 1 and go into this one, because I read book 1 a number of years ago and I don't really remember a lot about it other than I absolutely fucking loved it. So I'm excited to keep going into this. But this is the first pre-order of the year that we acquired. The 2 Aardvark books I have since read, and one of them is actually being removed from my shelves because I don't have shelf space for books that I don't particularly love. So that's just kind of how it is. The first book is This a Cry for Help by Emily Austin. This was so good. I loved this. We love Emily Austin in my friend group. We love her so much. Canadian author, amazing, lesbian books, stunning. They're little slice of life type lit fic with like a hopeful tint to the end. I rarely like lit fic that is not in some kind of way hopeful by the end, because a lot of lit fic is just so depressing to read. This was phenomenal. I loved it. I ate it up in a couple hours in one sitting, and I also got to meet Emily Austen with my friends. We went to her signing. Go libraries, truly. This is a story about a librarian who is going back to work after a mental break. She is dealing with her lingering emotions around what caused her to have her mental break, which was the death of her ex-boyfriend. She kind of believes herself to be not responsible, but like responsible for it. And it's a beautiful slice of life return to her life and quote unquote normalcy, but it's not normalcy, because how can life ever be normal after something that tragic, right? So it was really good. And it also revolves around like book banning and this attempt at her library of all these people like censorship stuff. Phenomenal. Fucking loved this. And then the Aardvark Book Box book that I am unhauling off of my shelves is An Arcane Inheritance by Camilla Cole. This is the second Camilla Cole book that I have read. I liked this more than the first one, that is for sure, because the first one I raged at the fact that it was such a beautiful cover, but I fucking hated it. It was so poorly written. This one was better. It had me hooked in the beginning. It is an amalgamation of like a thriller, fantasy, dark academia kind of book. It straddles many different genres. You could argue it to be many different kinds of genres, but I think a lot of it was not tight enough. In the end, I didn't like how willy-nilly the magic was in here. I think that something that we find out about this story by the end, I think that if we had gotten the backstory to that, it would have been a much more interesting book. Though the thriller aspects were really good in the first half, I just felt like this book just didn't really give it to me. It felt like it needed more polishing, more tightening, more something. But yeah, this is about a woman who is in school, university, and she feels like she's been here before, and she has these like snippets of memories and stuff that keep popping up of her being at this school before, but no one else is really giving her anything about it, so she's trying to figure out shit about that. Whatever, you know, magic, there's that too. Now let's move on to February. In February, I brought in 4 books. This pre-order, Agnes Aubert. This pre-order, Nightshade and Oak. 1 Aardvark Book Box book. And then I broke my bookbind ban just a smidge in February. This was the Aardvark Book Box book, and this is what I broke my bookbind ban for. So we'll start with this one. So this one is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow, and it is the only new 5-star I have found this year. The other 2 were rereads. This book fucking floored me. I read this from my library, and the entire time I was reading it, I was just writing down quotes that I wanted to annotate, because I loved this book so much, and the entire time I was like, I fucking need this book in my hands. I need to annotate it. Oh my god, I need to annotate it. So I broke my bookbind ban, and I didn't add to my TBR, but I did buy this, and I have since annotated it, and I love this book so much. I need to reread it. That's how, like, when I immediately want to reread a book, that is like a tell that I fucking loved it. You know what I mean? Like, I read my favorite book, Empire of Exiles, and immediately reread it in a week. Same with the sequel. Like, that's usually my tell, is if I really want to reread the book right after finishing it. And that was The Everlasting for me. So I broke my bookbind ban with this bad boy, which is totally fine because I went right back on it. The Aardvark Book Box book that I got in February was The Poet Empress by Shen Tao, which I have since read and absolutely fucking ate up. This book was phenomenal. What an incredible debut. Everything about this book is just so good. I loved it. Everyone was kind of commenting about this book at the beginning of the year when it was coming out, about how dark it was and all this kind of stuff. And I remember I had an arc for it. I was like, I really want to read this. Oh my God. I saw it as part of the Aardvark lineup, and I was like, yeah, that's coming home with me, because it's just absolutely beautiful as well. It's just a beautiful book. When I read it, I was blown away, first of all, by how incredible of a study of humanity this is. Because to me, it's not like a super dark tone of a book, because I know a lot of like grim, dark, epic fantasy can be extremely dark and harrowing and emotional and all these different things. But I found this book, the tone of it was a little bit lighter than I was anticipating. It's not lighthearted in any way, but like, yes, the content is dark as fuck. Definitely trigger warnings. The tone in which the story was given was a little bit more on the conversational side. So it wasn't, to me, this big emotional drop, burn crushing book. It was just absolutely fascinating and so fucking well done. I cannot believe this is a debut because Shantao's only going to go up from here, and that's fucking amazing because this is already amazing. I loved this. This is about a young farmer girl who ends up becoming a consort to the really violent brother as part of this royal family, and she is picked by this brother to be his like next empress. And so it is this political game within all the women that were picked as consorts, and also this abusive relationship between our main character and this prince, and then also her trying to just in any way she can make sure that her family is okay back home. And it is really just a look at how far will you go to keep the people you love safe. I fucking love this. I fucking love this so much. The two pre-orders, as I already showed you, Nightshade and Oak and Agnes Aubert. Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter. I always forget the full title of this one. These have both been read, and I enjoyed one of them and really did not like another. Now, both of these are authors that I have read before, which is why I pre-ordered them, because I usually try and keep my pre-orders to books by authors that I know I love their work of, and I know I trust them as authors, as like figures, to not be horrible people. You know what I mean? Because I have been burned too much in the past by pre-ordering a book that sounds amazing and then finding out later that the author is a piece of shit. These were both pre-orders by authors I love, and was really hoping that I'd love both of these. Now, Nightshade and Oak by Molly O'Neill. Molly O'Neill wrote Green Teeth, which is one of my favorite books of all time now. I fucking love that book so much. It is a perfect me book. If you've watched my video, My Perfect Books, it is the book in that video. I love the book so much. It's so voicey. It's incredible. So going into this, I had expectations to like this. I didn't have high expectations because I know that that perfect storm of Green Teeth could probably not be replicated even by the same author. And what I came out of with Nightshade and Oak was going, wow, okay, Molly O'Neill is an incredible writer, because not only has she been able to change her voice to something entirely unique in a different character with our main character of this one, compared to our main character in Green Teeth, which is Jetty Greenteeth, the swamp creature in that one, to our character in this one, which is a goddess who ends up being stuck in a mortal body for the majority of this book and has to undergo a quest to the underworld with this princess who is the daughter of Boudica. So we are touching on historical stuff here, as Green Teeth touched on Arthurian legend, Camelot, Welsh vibes and legend and stories and stuff like that. So what I love about Molly O'Neill is her ability to take these incredible stories and do a spin on them and have her own flair. And then of course the character work in here is incredible. So I liked the reading experience of this. It is not nearly as good as Green Teeth in my opinion, but I think if you are not a fan of Green Teeth, pick up Nightshade and Oak, because I think you'll like this a lot more. I do think this will be more palatable to the wide masses than Green Teeth, because Green Teeth is a weird little fucking book and it's my favorite. So there's that. But I did like this and I do recommend it. This one was not good. And I hate that because I really enjoy the Emily Wilde series, the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, the second one and the third one. The second one is my favorite of that series. I didn't love book one. I think I read it at the wrong time. I was in the wrong mood for it, but I loved book two, and then book three was kind of just mid for me. I didn't really like it as much because of the relationships in there, because my favorite thing is like the will they won't they type of relationship vibe of the second one. And so going into this, I was expecting to really love it because cats, and it sounds really cool. It's this woman who is a widow, and she lives in this world where, yes, we are in Montreal, but we are in a Montreal that is magical, and there are magicians on the streets, and they're causing havoc, man. A couple years ago, there was almost the end of a world apocalypse because of one of these fucking magicians. She does not like magicians. She does not like them. They blew apart the front of her shelter, and so she has to find a new place to house these cats in this book. And she ends up finding a place that her landlord is this infamous witch king who did that a number of years ago. He's the reason for the almost end of the world. So that becomes her landlord and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, this sounds really interesting. So tell me why this story was just giving drab. It was giving boring. It was giving me nothing. It is very clearly heavily inspired by Howl's Moving Castle. By the end of the book, all of the touches to Howl and Howl's Moving Castle pissed me the fuck off, because one, I love Howl's Moving Castle. I love when a book has Howl's Moving Castle touches. But because I was not enjoying this book at all, any of those touches just made me more irritated because I was like, no, like you're kind of just trying to shoehorn, force it into this thing that people will like. You're trying to give these two characters who have no chemistry at all some kind of like Howl Sophie relationship, which just, it didn't work. I didn't like our characters at all. It was so fucking slow to get started. I love cozy fantasy. I'm a fucking cozy fantasy author. This just did not work for me. It just didn't work for me, and I'm so mad about it. But that one's probably, it's gonna live on my shelves for a while because it's such a pretty book, but currently it's kind of hiding when I have it on my shelves because this is where the 3 books of her other trilogy are. So this book is actually hiding behind Empire, usually. The Arc of Empire of Exiles there because that's just kind of where it has to live. In March, I also hauled 3 books. One of them was an aardvark book, one of them was a pre-order, and one of them was another break in the book buying ban. But you know what? Nothing is going to be as bad as April. So gird your loins. Now, the book that I broke my book buying ban for was because I went to an author signing for a new fantasy romance author. I felt so bad not having a copy of the book for her to sign, and it sounded so interesting. So I picked up a copy of the book and have since read it, and it was good. And that is The Trident and the Pearl by Sarah K.L. Wilson. So yes, this has been signed. I went to the signing with my beautiful friend Sophia. It was very fun. It was really lovely to meet Sarah. It was good. It was a solid book. It spawned an entire new book idea in my head because of this book, because of the lore and the gods and all this kind of stuff. So we love when a book does that. But yes, this is a story about a queen. She will do anything for her people. And at the beginning of this book, as her husband dies, she makes a deal with the gods, thinking she's making a deal with the god of like that her island worships and stuff like that, to marry the first man who shows up on your island. And so she does. And it is their relationship because this man whisks her away after her queendom is stripped from her and handed off to the heir. And she ends up living on this island with this man who she knows nothing about other than he's kind of a little bit cantankerous, doesn't really give her much, and has a weeping wound that will not heal. Like, this world is so fun. There are a couple of things about it that I wish were just a little bit more, but I'm really excited to see where this world goes and where the story goes from here because this is slow burn at its finest, okay? I had a great time reading this. I really, really did. So fuck yeah, to randomly breaking your book buying ban and picking up a fun fantasy romance, you know? And it's beautifully written. We love that. The pre-order I ordered in March that I got is Entwined by Hannah Long, my girl, my beloved. I have so many of her books on my shelves. I just love her so, so, so much. One of my favorite fantasy authors ever. I'm so excited to get into this duology. The second one, I believe, is coming next year, spring. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. I know very little about this other than it is a Gilded Age inspired fantasy, which sounds amazing. And that it is a sister story. It's not like a romantasy or anything like that, but like, ooh, I'm just so excited. And also this cover just gives off the exact vibe. I love it. I love it so much. I'm so excited to explore this and like what magic systems she's cooked up because her magic system in Darkwater Daughter is one of my favorites. And it's so interesting to get into a new world and discover it from one of your favorite authors who's fucking amazing at world building. So I'm so excited to try this when I do. I'm so excited. And the aardvark book that I picked up in March was The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan, purely because I have seen this book get a pretty decent amount of traction on the fantasy book internet, you know? This sounds so good. It's dark and it's bewitching, a devastating love story, bewitching twist on history, and a blood-drenched hunt for purpose, power, and redemption. And it's blurbed on the front by T. Kingfisher. And T. Kingfisher says it's charming, haunting, ambitious, and a great deal of fun. I'm so excited to read this. I really am. I love a good chunky fantasy. This is going to be up next in the next couple books for sure for me. I know nothing else about this other than it is a little bit like of a doomed love story kind of vibe, but it's not a romantasy. Like, it's an epic fantasy, a dark fantasy, a grim dark fantasy with a romance at the heart of it kind of a thing. We have a Professor Sebastian Grave in 1785 who receives the news he fears most. The terrible beast of Gévaudan has returned, and the French countryside runs red in its wake. Sebastien knows the beast. A monster slayer with centuries of experience, he joined the hunt for the creature 20 years ago and watched it slaughter its way through a long and bloody winter. Even with the help of his indwelling demon, Sarmodel, sure, who takes payment in living hearts, it nearly cost him his life to bring the monster down. Now, 2 decades later, Sebastian has been recalled to the hunt by Antoine Avenel d'Auxerre, an estranged lover who shares a dark history with the beast and a terrible secret with Sebastien. Drawn by both the chance to finish the beast for good and the promise of a reconciliation with Antoine, Sebastien cannot refuse. And it goes on from there, but that sounds amazing. I love a Monster Hunter book. I recently read Kill the Beast by Sarah Swift, another aardvark book that I picked up late last year. Monster Hunters, like the Witcher vibe, I love that trope. I love it so much. Anyways, I'm so excited to read this too. Now we're going into April, where I totally shattered my book buying ban for good reasons, I say. In April, the one pre-order that is coming to me is Death Meets Cute by Jay Penner, who is a cozy fantasy author, a mutual of mine on TikTok, and I'm so excited about this one. It just sounds amazing. It's like this new thing that she's working on is the witches from Macbeth, their own little like cozy romance vibes, and this one is some to do with like an orc dies in her yard, or she kills the orc in her yard, and like she resurrects him to be her bodyguard, and suddenly he's baking in her kitchen instead. Like cute, cozy vibe. There's like animal familiars and stuff like that. I'm so excited to read this when it comes out. I'm so excited to pick it up. We love that. The 2 aardvark books that I picked up this month, I'm very excited about. One of them is a sci-fi, and that is Love Galaxy by Sierra Branham. And this has been kind of, again, making its rounds on book TikTok. A couple of my mutuals have read it and fucking loved it, like 5 stars raving about this. So I was like, oh, when I saw it immediately on aardvark, I was like, well, that's coming home with me, because that sounds right up my alley. All I know is that it's space, it's sapphic, and there's some kind of reality TV vibe. I don't love reality TV vibe, but space reality TV with sapphic people, I am in. I am in. This cover is just fucking stunning. I don't know who did the art, but I'm obsessed with it. Maybe they say on the inside. So cover design by Jenna Stempel-Lobel and cover illustration by Artem Cheboka. Love. So yes, I'm very excited about this one. It's like very up on my TBR. I really want to read it. And then the one that I am currently reading, funnily enough, and I'm fucking eating up, Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker. This is a gothic-y, horror-y, weird, twisty little ghost story. I love a haunted house story with a twist, and fuck if this is not a twisty book. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the lore, but I love it. I'm having so much fun because this is a story between a modern day man named Lee who thinks he killed his roommate, who thinks he's like a murderer, although he cannot remember where he hid the body, and he fled home to his dad. He's now in Japan somewhere with his father in this old house. And this old house used to be owned by a samurai family. And this house is weirdly connected to that family because suddenly he can open a closet in his room and he can see, talk, and touch this woman who lived at this time, who is a samurai in training. Her father is a samurai, and she's living in this house in 1877. So we have a ghost story, we have dual timeline, but also dual timeline that definitely mesh very quickly. And it's just fascinating, and it's so cinematic. And I am eating it up. Like, this feels like a video game. Like, it feels like Silent Hill level video game because you don't necessarily know what's happening. It's a lot of internal bullshit, and it's a lot of like just getting drenched in blood. I am loving it. I am eating it up, and I'm so excited to keep going because I am a little over halfway through. I'm loving it so much. I then broke my book buying ban for these next 4 books, the last 4 books in this video that I have bought and brought into my house in 2026. First, I went to a little indie bookstore in my city that was having its grand opening, a romance indie bookstore. It was having its grand opening in the middle of April. And in the creation of this bookstore and all that kind of stuff, I was in contact with the owner of this bookstore, and she wanted to stock my books there because she wants to do more work with like the authors in our city, which I think is really cool. So I ended up taking books to the bookstore, including some stickers and some bookmarks and whatever, and I brought them to the bookstore so that she could sell them, and I'm now selling them on consignment, and I think that's really fun. But going to that bookstore, it is so far away. It's like 30 minutes away in my city, which Anyone in a big city is probably like, that's nothing. In my city, it's across the fucking city. Okay. So it was a long way to go. And I felt that I was like, well, I'm here. Might as well pick something up. So I picked up a book by another local author. It is another cozy book. It is A Damsel and a Demon by Ali Lee. And I am very excited about this. This cover is also just fucking cutie patootie. I love it. This is a prequel, I think, for her other book, for one of her other books. But yeah, this is cutie. And there's a cutie little dog on the back. Oh my God. I really liked the cover. I like the vibes. Also the fact that she's another local author. And then that same day, actually, I did order 3 books because I finished Olivia Atwater's Half a Soul. And I loved the way that she wrote stories so much that I then had to go pick up the next 3 books of hers that she's written. No shame, no regrets. I cannot wait to read these. So the next 2 in that series, the same series as Half a Soul, are 10,000 Stitches and Long Shadow. This is the Regency Fairy series. I picked these up. So excited to keep going with that series. I believe they are all like they follow different people and all that kind of stuff. I don't think the storylines like connect in any way. They're very much standalone trilogy vibes. And then we have the start of another series of hers, which is going to be the Victorian fairy tales. This is The Witchwood Knot. And my friend Julie from Julie Reads on Instagram told me that this one is very like gothic. I love a gothic moment. Oh, but like still in the vein of Half a Soul, like cozy vibe. You know what I mean? So I am so fucking excited to have these on my shelves, and I'm so excited to dive into the world of Olivia Atwater. It has been like Half a Soul has sat on my shelves for so fucking long because Julie bought it for me either for my birthday or Christmas a couple years ago at this point, and I never read it. Finally read it, fucking loved it, gave it 4.5 stars, absolutely amazing. And now I'm so excited to have these as well because I just really like the way that Olivia Atwater writes stories. I really like that. So we're gonna explore her other books as well. I love when I love an author so much that I'm just like, let me buy everything they've ever written because I love it so much. Anyways, my friends, that is everything from me. Those are all the books that I brought in, all 17 that I brought in from the start of 2026 to now. And if you're curious as to how many I've read of those, it's 7. 7 of these books I have read, which is actually pretty good considering that I am notorious for just buying books and not reading them for a while. I've been trying to stay on top of the books that I'm actually bringing in and reading them. And I have spent $434.78 on all 17 of these books. Now, I love Aardvark because Aardvark is actually reasonably priced hardcovers. And if you buy 2 hardcovers, each of them becomes $20.99. Canadian, which is amazing. Amazing. You buy one, it's about $27, which is still fucking amazing when you're usually paying $42+ for a hardcover in Canada. So happy about that. And usually I buy it from my local indie or Aardvark, and that is what I've been doing this year. So we love that so much. Anyways, my friends, let me know down below if you have read any of these books or if you are interested in any of these books, and I will catch you in another video very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.